Hello and welcome to this video. Once again we are doing some sort of tutorial or review or first look or whatever you want to call it on a new plugin. The fine guys over at Krotos Audio asked me if I wanted to do a video on a plugin of theirs called Weaponiser. And actually this is not just a plugin, it's some kind of synthesizer mixed up with a sampler. But we are gonna call it a plugin today. So Weaponiser, alright. This is a complex piece of software. There is so many opportunities to create these different sounds in this plugin, and it's mainly for weapon sounds, whether it's old school guns and assault rifles, or if you want to make it into more sci-fi-ish sounds. That's kind of the synthesizer part of the plugin. But instead of just rambling on about a lot of stuff I really don't understand, why don't we just get into the plugin and play around and see what we can come up with. The first thing you see when you open up Weaponiser is this preset. And this preset sounds like this. And that is a pretty cool gun sound, just as a preset. If we start out with the presets, if you go up to load and the factory presets, there are a lot of different stuff. So now we heard the assault rifle, the AK-47. All right, let's try some sci-fi pistol. Buck my Roger laser. That sounds interesting. Let's see what that sounds like. Pretty cool. Let's take gun foley. Light reload. That's pretty cool. And everything you're hearing in these presets are actual audio samples available from this menu. So we have to build our very own sound now. And that's what I'm gonna bring you through for this video. So if we start up here, actually, we got some menus called onset, body, thumb, and tail. And these are actually different parts of the sound, if that makes any sense. I see it as onset is kind of like where you get the crack of the sound, you know, that high impact. And body is more like, it's kind of in the word, it's the body of the sound. It's not really the low end, but kind of the mids and everything that gives it that nice round gun sound. And thumb, in my head, is where you put in all the low end. And tail is kind of like the reverb. That's kind of what I see it as. It's the tail of the sound. You know, no one wants to hear a gun just go pow. You know, you want pow, and then you want the fine shimmer of the mountains. So let's try and make our own sound. So we are gonna start with onset. And I think we are gonna go for a shotgun sound, since that's kind of my favorite weapon. Okay, so I have from this menu I can choose shotguns, and I get a whole lot of different samples to choose from. But I want to narrow it down, so I'm gonna go for single shot. Let's listen through a couple of these sounds. And have in mind that right now I'm looking for a sound for the onset. So I'm looking for some sort of high crack and not too much low end. Oh, that was cool. That may not sound really good now, but I think this is really good for a high crack sound. So I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna drag it into one of these empty sample slots. As you can see, we got a couple of different sample slots. We get that for each of these menus, but for the sake of this video not being an hour long, I'm just gonna do one or two in each menu. Alright, so now we have our one sound. It sounds like this. Not that great for now. So if we take this single shot and work on that for a bit. In this menu for our one sample, we got speed, and that's the actual speed of the sample. So either decreasing or increasing this will make it sound lower or higher, since the sample is either slowed down or sped up. So if I slow it down a bit, it's going to sound like this. And if I speed it up, it's going to sound like this. So I actually liked it where it was kind of a bit down, because it is a shotgun we're trying to make, so it needs to have some balls, you know. That's pretty cool. Alright, so one of the next things we can do to this is that over here on the onset right here, we can actually put on some plugins. So we could put on an equalizer just to kind of shape the sound like we wanted to. Alright, so I'm even though I'm going for the crack, I'm hearing a bit of too much high end right now. Let's see. Maybe let's check if it's here. Oh, we got a lot of it here, so cut it a bit. Maybe also turn the volume down just a bit. Alright, so actually now it just sounds like a heavy reverb finger snap, but bear with me, we are gonna go into the other menus now. But before I do that, in the start of this video we heard some different presets, where one of them was this kind of sci-fi-ish sound, and that's kind of the synth part of this cool plugin. And that's actually down here where you can turn on the synth. And now I have not touched this synth yet, so it's gonna sound like this. If we actually were to create a sound for a sci-fi game, this would be where we would do it. You can do a lot of different settings down here. If we just do random stuff, we can do it like this. Like this. What's that? We can change waves. See, so that's a bunch of different opportunities to create weird sounds in this. So we have our onset sound, which sounds, yeah. All right, so let's get on to the body of the sound. This is where we get most of the sound of this shotgun. So let's dig through some of these again. I'm gonna keep it on single shot. Ooh, yes, let's take that. All right, so now we actually have two samples on top of each other, so it sounds like this. So again, you know what I did to the other one, so I might cut it here, or I might speed it up, whatever. All right, so what I've done now to this body sound is that I have sped it a bit down to get the pitch a bit down. I've cut some, not much, just a bit of the mids on the body sound, and I turned our onset crack a bit down, and now it sounds like this. Starting to get pretty nice. So next up is thump. So now we're really looking for a sound with a lot of low rumbling and the real ballsy sound. Let's call it the ball sound. So once again, in our thump, our low end, I have sped it a bit down to get the sample slow and low and rumbling. In the EQ, I have boosted some of the lows, kind of where I felt the sweet spot of the low end in this one is, and I cut a lot of the mids. So now our sample sounds like this with all these three menus now. Starting to get good. We actually, if you listen, we have a bit of a tail in some of the samples, but we can get more, right? So on to tail. Let's find a sample of a nice tail. But now we're not going into the single shot anymore. Now I'm going to go into the tails in this menu and just see what we can find. So now I'm gonna listen to it without doing anything. So I'm actually pretty much done with the actual sampling of the sounds now. And let's take a listen to what we have. And I have to remind you, we have only one sample on each of these menus. So onset has a cracking sound, the body has the body of the sound, thumb has the low end, and the tail has the tail of the sound. And have in mind that all these menus could have up to 4 samples in each of them. So you can make a huge sound with this. But anyways, this is how it sounds now. Alright, so this menu up here is actually the last thing that we are gonna do to our samples. As you can see, we have the menus here on set, body, thumb and tail. And this is how it sounds when they are on top of each other. If we spread these out a bit, and this is gonna sound really weird now because they are not playing at the same time. So if I push this now, you will hear the samples play in the actual order that they are set. So that's not what we want, right? But if you want to really fine tune in this menu, you can go up and take the one called scale, and you can scale the sound so you can see it. It's almost just like zooming in on the audio waves. So maybe for a sound like this, I would actually have it like this, have the tail a bit on the end. Right, that's the basics of Weaponiser by Krotos Audio. And there are so many more opportunities in this very nice plugin. But if I had to go through them all, we would look at a 10-hour video at least. If you're interested in this plugin or other stuff by Krotos Audio, I will put links in the description for you to check out. I highly recommend it. It's really great stuff. I've also received some other stuff from which I maybe will review if they will let me after this video. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. I know it has been a long video, but I hope you got something out of it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, have a very nice day.